There are some things that are too important to just be left to the market. There are some things that are just too important to be left solely to the market. Now look, not all local journalism is endangered. There are local papers doing well. Vox Media actually has a huge local component in Eater and Curbed and other things that we do. There are interesting commercial enterprises happening at the local level. SB Nation, our sports site, has all these local brands. So I don't want to take away from that. But the point that local investigative journalism is expensive and time consuming and often has trouble making a return on that investment is true. We know there are things that we think of as public goods that the market will just not provide fully. And in those cases, we need to think about how philanthropy, and we need to think about how, in some cases, government can step in. In Europe, there are countries that do a lot more to subsidize the press. We do a lot to subsidize different kinds of organizations in this country. Now, I'm not saying that I'm comfortable with all of them, but already you see some of it, right? Groups like ProPublica that are nonprofits, so that donations to them can be tax deductible. That's a way of helping, right? There are ways that you can subsidize things. PBS is subsidized very famously. The way to not let local investigative journalism die is to value it. Is to value it individually such that we pay for it. Subscribe to your local newspaper. Is to value it societally so that if that's not working, we think about how to pool around it. We spend a lot more money on much dumber things than local investigative journalism. It would not be so crazy to think about how to create an independent board that could fund grants to local outlets. I mean, this stuff, it's not rocket science. It is about what we value as a country, what we value as a people. I think that sometimes we can get caught in a market inevitability discourse where it's like, well, it's not making much money, so I guess we can't have that anymore. Sometimes I imagine, given the set of ideological boundaries we have now, can you imagine if somebody proposed building libraries today? Do you just think about that? If somebody came up and said, I have an idea for a bill, we're gonna make these buildings where you can get books for free no matter how much money you make. And we're gonna put one in every city. There's a point in our country where we decided, you know what, that was worth it. It was worth it for people to be able to read. And not just that, we weren't just gonna subsidize poor kids getting books, if then, and then put a work requirement on it for their parents. We're just gonna have libraries. I often get accused, probably fairly, of being a neoliberal. But I think that we have lost a language for talking about public goods. I think we have lost a language for thinking about things that are important, but may not be that commercially viable. And I think we need to get it back. A lot of these problems are not hard. They're just about what we choose to value. And it's not as if the question of how to move money around or how to disperse money is some technical thing we cannot solve.